A lot of people will say that the holiday season is a terrible time to be on a cut. It can be difficult, but it's not impossible. You don't have to be super strict. You don't have to be the guy bringing your chicken and rice to Christmas dinner. Plan ahead and think about averages. Good morning, welcome to week 8, upper body day 2. I love upper body day 2 because it's my easy bar workout. I designed upper body day 2 to be a quick Friday workout for when I want to get in and out of the workout quick so that I can go get to like a coffee shop or a different location for work. Normally I work from home, so I just pop over here, but I want to build in a little extra time for travel today. The easy bar workout is upright rows, curls, and then incline skull crushers. Then we finish off with the McGill 3 for our core. So let's get cracking. I also want to talk today about the week of Christmas and how I'm planning on getting workouts in around family chaos and maintaining my calorie deficit in this cut without being a psycho about it and being super rigid. So stay tuned for that. For our warm-up, since we're not doing like any core compound lifts, and I don't want to necessarily warm up with upright rows, I'm just gonna warm up with some light dumbbells. We'll do some curls and some shoulders and stuff. All right, we'll do a couple more sets of that. All right, second warm-up set. All right, I think that's probably good. We'll get the weight added to the easy bar and start set 1 of upright rows. Set 1, upright rows. Alright, that was 12. So we'll move up in weight. I think last week, I think I think I did move up in weight, so that confirms it. So a lot of people will say that the holiday season is a terrible time to be on a cut. And I will say, like, it can be difficult, but it's not impossible. And you don't have to be like a super strict. You don't have to be the guy bringing, your chicken and rice to Christmas dinner. So the way that I think about it is just to plan ahead and think about averages. I would argue that it's almost just as difficult to be in a controlled bulk during the holidays too, because I think it's pretty easy for your mind to be like, well, I'm in a bulk, I'll just eat and eat. And then all of a sudden you've gained more fat than you want. So if you're like shooting for a very controlled bulk of about a half a pound a week, you're only in a slight calorie surplus. So it can be just as easy to blow that out of the water as well. So, and then the same can be said about maintenance. All that to say, I think that the best way to set yourself up for success is to plan ahead. And we'll do that after this set. We bumped up the weights to 80 from 70 pounds. So we'll see how that feels. That's like a 5s on each side. I don't love doing 2.5s if I can avoid it, but if I'm gonna do 2.5s, shoulders would be the thing. I think for me, one of the hardest part about the holidays is actually just the break from the routine. So it's pretty easy, just like throughout the year, like when the kids are in school and I've got work and you build up, you've got your routine. It's very easy to maintain consistency in your workouts and in your diet when you can kind of expect more or less the same thing from day to day. So the time off of work, the time off of school, to me, that is the biggest challenge, because it means that when I have free time and I can just kind of do whatever I want, it's hard for my mind to like think, oh, it's just the middle of the day, on a day off, I should work out. So the thing that I like to do that week of Christmas with the time off, I try to wake up at similar times. It doesn't happen. I usually sleep in an hour or so, like not later than I normally would. But I do try to stick to, if possible, my routine-ish kind of way of going about things, which is to work out first thing in the morning. So that week of Christmas, I won't be off until Christmas Day. So I'll probably adjust my schedule. I usually work out Monday through Thursday, and then today, the upper body day 2 is kind of like a buffer day. So sometimes I get to upper body day 2 on Friday, sometimes I don't. What I'll do the week of Christmas, since Christmas is a Wednesday, I will do Monday and Tuesday like normal. I'll take Wednesday off because it's Christmas Day. And then we go up to my in-laws for like the rest of the week. So I'll plan on Thursday getting into a local gym up in their town and doing that Friday as well. And I'll shoot for 4 workouts, and we'll see how Friday goes. If I can squeeze in a workout Saturday morning as well, thumbs up. But that's also like, I've got to plan ahead. I have to communicate that plan with my wife. I've got to make sure that we're okay, since we're all together with the in-laws and the kids. Got to make sure that it's okay for me to leave the house for an hour and a half when you factor in drive time. So it doesn't happen if I just show up to the in-laws and say, I don't know, I need to get a workout in at some point, and then just randomly ask like mid-morning if I can go to the gym. I need to communicate my plan ahead of time so that expectations are set, so that my wife has expectations. We can set those expectations with the in-laws, and then I have the expectations for myself. All right, set 1, easy bar curls. We took the 5s off. We're back down at 70. And we'll see how that goes. those is good. So we talked about how to maintain the consistency with the workouts when you've got like a holiday and time off and stuff like that. Now, the diet can be a little bit more tricky. Again, because that routine really helps. You know, you've got breakfast or just coffee in the morning, you work. A lot of times I'm so busy at work, I'll just eat a small lunch. I can kind of like think about what I'm going to have for dinner, but not be too focused on food. You're distracted at work. At least that's the idea. But when you have time off, it can be harder to maintain your normal kind of food routine. And then holidays are obviously going to have like a big meal usually. My challenge is that I have 3 Christmases. We'll have a Christmas the Saturday before. We'll have one Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day. So I've talked about averages before. Consistency is not, consistency from day to day builds up to consistency over time. But really the block that I look for on like, did I hit my goals is a week. I don't look from day to day. I look at, okay, this past week, what was my average calorie intake? This past week, what was my average weight? Because it'll fluctuate and change from day to day. So that gives you actually a little bit of leeway from day to day with your calories. So if I'm shooting for 18 to 1900 calories on average for the week, I don't have to hit 1800 calories every day. I could have a couple of 1600 calorie days, which allows me to have a couple of 22 or 23 or even 2500 calories. And then knowing that the average for that week is going to be 1800 to 1900. I talked about this over Thanksgiving. That's exactly what I did. I had Thanksgiving's a Thursday. For the first 3 days, I stuck to 1600 calories. On Thursday for Thanksgiving, jumped up to 2600 calories. And then the plan was to like get back down to like 1800 the next day. I actually ended up having a less disciplined day, and Friday after Thanksgiving was a 2200 calorie day. I was able to still on Saturday and Sunday get it back down to that 16 or 1700 range, and my average for the week was just over 1800 calories. So I was able to live my life. I was able to enjoy a holiday meal with my family and friends. And one of the ways that I was able to do that was to think about averaging out and spreading out the calories throughout the week, knowing that there'd be a high calorie day. And then there are techniques for not going crazy on the actual holiday meal day. So like you don't want to be like way over your maintenance calories and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that next. But the first bit of advice is spread your calories out so that your average is your average is the goal that you want to hit. And calorie stack. Take some calories from the earlier in the week so that you can have calories later in the week. So when it comes to the actual holiday meal, there are some guidelines I try to follow to help me stick to my goals for the week. So if my maintenance calories are 2,900 calories, which is about what they are, and my cut calories, my deficit is about 1,000, so I'm shooting for 1,800 to 1,900. 1,900 is really like, that's the 1,000 calorie, but I shoot for a little bit under that, knowing that I always go over a little bit. That's just something I do. So the first rule is within any given day, I always try to stay under my maintenance calories or hit my maintenance calories at a max. So I never really want to go over 2,900 calories when I'm in a cut. I just don't want to tell my body that it's okay to hold on to any fat when I'm trying to lose 2 pounds per week. So, number 1, stay at or under your maintenance calories. Second kind of rule, or really, the second rule, and these aren't rules, they're just kind of guidelines. Second guideline is to keep your meal to one plate. don't go back for multiple servings. That's a pretty easy way. I mean, of course, you can find loopholes, right? You can stack a pyramid of food and get way more than you need. But if you stick to one plate, it's harder to overeat to an extreme amount. And especially combined with the third guideline, which is to favor protein heavy sources, right? So when you think about the ratio of how your plate is divided, you want like at least a third, maybe even like 50% or more of that plate to be protein sources. So at Christmas or on Thanksgiving, like that might be turkey or ham, or if you're vegetarian, tofu. I don't know what else, but try to keep it a little bit lighter on the the calorie dense, high fat, high carb foods like mashed potatoes. I'm not saying don't eat mashed potatoes. I'm just saying just have a little bit less mashed potatoes than you would normally and favor that ham or that turkey. And then favor, what's the opposite of calorie dense? Very, very low calorie foods like vegetables and fruit. So if there's a fruit bowl, grab a fruit bowl, green beans, broccoli, corn, that sort of stuff. Favor those fruits and veggies on there as well. And I try to avoid the casseroles because those are usually the most calorie dense because you're just like adding carbs and fat and stuff to that. I will say I try to avoid them, but I love a green bean casserole, and so I'm gonna have a little bit of green bean casserole. But I'm just gonna limit it to a small portion on my plate, and I'm gonna be satisfied with the amount that I had. And I'm gonna try not to go back for a second plate. If I do, it's gonna be for some more of that lean meat, like turkey. So, see if I can remember what I just said. The guidelines are try to stay under your maintenance calories. Stick to one plate, and then I don't know if I said it was a third guideline, but the third guideline is to favor a higher protein to carbs and fat ratio within your plate, within the food sources. So yeah, that's how on the day of a holiday I try to help myself that's how I try to set myself up for success when I'm in a cut. All right, incline skull crushers, set 1. Then you may be asking, why an incline? Why skull crushers on an incline? And the answer is mainly for variance, just to keep it. Normally I'd use skull crushers on a flat bench, so just to work the muscle slightly differently. I find it's also a little bit easier on the elbow joint, and it's just slightly different stimulus than just because of the way that gravity works. So the tension points are going to be slightly different because you're at an angle. All right, second set of incline skull crushers. Be sure to stick around. We are going to do our weekly or our daily check-in, where we'll look at my weigh-in for today, how we're looking for the week, how we did with calories and protein yesterday. All right. Okay, yeah, so let's do a check-in. Look at our weight. Yesterday we were 191.6. Today, we bumped up to 193.3. And when we look at the meals from yesterday, you'll probably understand why. What is that? I mean, that's not quite 2 pounds, but that's, I don't know, a little more than 1 pound of increase for the day. Our average is 192.5. I think we're shooting for 192.7. So we're still on track to hit our average as long as we don't have too many more 193s. As long as we can stick to that 192 range, we should be good. When you look at the calories, you notice that we're almost at 2,400 for yesterday. So that is why. And it wasn't completely unplanned. I knew that we had this Christmas thing at my grandparents' facility yesterday. So I tried to stack the day early with protein and lower calorie stuff. A couple of little egg bites, my coffee, some low calorie soup, some high protein yogurt, and or just one little chopstick. And then, yeah, see, the dinner was like a buffet of finger food type stuff. So I tried to stick with higher protein, and I stuck with one plate, kind of like what I was talking about with the holiday plan. I did also try to eat before I went to try to make me a little bit less hungry. So I ate an apple and some of these protein crackers that are, I think they're kind of good, but it was mainly just to fill my stomach up. And I ate a couple of chopsticks. So that was all like in the car before we got there, just to make sure I wasn't starving. So there I chose some meatballs, carrots, salad, right? So low calorie, high protein. They had some grilled chicken on skewers. They had some mixed fruit. They did have some chicken wings. That was kind of one of my indulgences, was these fried chicken wings, and then a couple of chicken nuggets. And then my last, my actual indulgence was the ravioli. I'm from St. Louis, guys. If you've never had toasted ravioli, oh my goodness, so good. You have to look it up. And then I had just a little bit of a bite of a cupcake. So I entered that in there. And then the big indulgence was a slice of pumpkin pie, because I couldn't say no to that. So yes, I could have been closer to 2,100 calories without that, but I have zero regrets. Almost 2,400 calories. And then, looking at some of this, you can tell those wings, the nuggets, the ravioli, the meatballs, we have some high sodium content. So my body weight is going to be up. In fact, if we look, we've got body weight somewhere in here. Lean mass, water mass, here we go. Let's look at the week. So yeah, if you look at the day before, 101.1, that's the estimated amount of water weight, and then it bumps up to 102.6. So that's over 1 pound. And what did we see? An increase? We saw just about 1.5 pounds or something like that. And that's exactly what the water weight went up, was 1.5 pounds. So not a mystery. It's not a mystery. If we look back last week, I had the same thing. I had, a high sodium meal Friday night. So sodium, my water weight jumped up. And this is like a pattern of mine. I tend to have, Friday or Saturday or maybe even Sunday, I tend to have a higher calorie meal that's maybe from a restaurant. It's going to be higher sodium, so I tend to bump up a little bit in water weight. But once I get back into my routine of eating healthy food at home, it always comes back down. So overall, we're looking okay for our goal of losing 2 pounds per week. I'm not too concerned. Since I average out my weight and I average out my calories over the week, I think we're still in good shape. I think we have one more set of these Incline skull crushers. So let's knock that out. And then we'll finish up with some core. One more for good luck. All right, so we've got the McGill 3 for core. We'll start up with this modified curl up that I'll show you. And then we have side planks and then bird dogs. And you'll see what each of those are if you aren't familiar with them. Our rep scheme is going to be 3 sets. And then these are all holds. They're static holds. So we'll do a pyramid scheme, a modified pyramid, not a pyramid scheme. We'll do a modified pyramid rep scheme where we'll hold for 10 seconds and then we'll do, I think we'll hold for 5 seconds and then 3 seconds. And then instead of going down to just a 1 second hold, we'll do 3 seconds again. Last week we did 5-3-1 and that one just didn't feel like it was doing anything. So we'll bump it up to 5-3-3 or maybe 5-5-3 depending on how we're feeling at the end. So first up is a modified curl up, and all that means is you can have like one leg up and you're just trying to keep space between the small of your back and the ground. And we'll kind of pull our chin down and lift our head slightly up, embrace our core and breathe through it. All right, and that was 10 seconds, so that's fine. We'll go down 10, 5, 3 maybe. Second one. Okay, one more. And that's 3 sets of 10. That's what we just did there. So let's just, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. We're just going to pause there and we'll rest 2 minutes and then do basically the same thing again. All right, I had to do a real quick refresher on what the actual rep scheme for this is. Each exercise is a hold for 8 to 10 seconds. And that is a single rep. And you're supposed to do a pyramid of 5 reps, 3 reps, and then 1 rep. So that first set that we just did was only really 3 reps. So on this next one, on set 2, I'm going to bump it up to a 10-second hold for 5 reps. And then on the last one, we'll either keep it at 5 or bump down to 3, depending on how we're feeling. But I knew something was off because I knew that holding for 10 seconds felt right. So, all right, set 2, here we go. One. 2. 3. 4. 5. All right. Rest for like a minute and then we'll come back. Last set of our curl ups. Let's see if we can get 5. These are probably the most exciting things to watch. come back for side planks. First side plank. Other side. Alright, set one done. Side planks, set two. Here we go. And we'll do 3 reps on that. Switch sides. And that's that. Got one more set of those. Last set. And we'll do our modified pyramid of 3, 5, 3, 3 instead of 5, 3, 1. Alright, we just have bird dogs left. Bird dogs. One. 2. 3. 4. 5. Switch sides. Alright, a couple more of those. We're nearing the end. Bird dogs, set 2. Switch sides. Alright, just one more set to go. Last set of bird dogs, we'll do 3. 1. 2. Switch. 1. 2. 3. And that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe you can take some of the learnings into your holidays and maintain your deficit, your cut, and stick to your goals. And if you're thinking about starting a new goal in the new year, let me know in the comments. I'm probably going to switch up my workout a little bit and would love to collaborate and to share the journey with you. See you next time.